On this problem, we're not going to use a calculator, but we're going to try to figure out when is cosine theta equal to 0? What angle causes it to be 0? And in particular, what angle that's between 0 and 180 degrees causes cosine to be 0? So we know that cosine of theta equals the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. However, to get an adjacent side of 0, we're not dealing with a triangle. So this isn't really the right definition to use. If you use the circle definition of cosine, it equals x over r. This might work because if we can get an x value, for example, of 0, so an x coordinate that's 0 and a radius is always 1 in these examples, we'll have the angle we're looking for. So if we look at each of the axes, if the radius is 1, the coordinates of this point down here, for example, would be 0, negative 1. Up here would be 0, positive 1. Over here, 1 unit over would be negative 1, 0, and this would be 1, 0. So let's see. The x-coordinate is 0 both at 90 degrees, right there, and at 270 degrees. However, only 90 degrees is between 0 and 180 degrees. So the theta value we're looking for is 90 degrees because the x would be 0 and the radius would be 1. Here, we're told an escalator ascends 45 feet over a horizontal distance of 30 feet. So ascends means go up. So it goes up 45 feet over a horizontal distance of 30 feet. And we're trying to figure out what's the angle of elevation. The angle of elevation is this angle right here. So we're trying to figure out what theta value would cause this triangle to exist. So since we're dealing with the opposite and adjacent side, we know that tangent theta has to equal 45 over 30, which we can reduce to 3 over 2. To do this on the calculator, we evaluate inverse tangent of 3 over 2, and that will give us the value of theta. So inverse tangent, which you can get by pushing shift, and then tangent, and 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is that. Turns out that angle is about 56.3 degrees. On the last problem here, a stepladder has an angle of elevation of 60 degrees with the front of the house. The length of the stepladder is 24 feet. So here's a house. Here's a stepladder. And we know this stepladder here is 24 feet long. And we know the angle of elevation is 60 degrees. And what it's saying is, at what height does the stepladder meet the house? So here's the house. We're trying to figure out what this height is. Well, this happens to be a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So if this is 24, then this side would be 12, the short side. It'd be half the hypotenuse. To get from this side to this side, we multiply the short side by rad 3. So the height would equal 12 rad 3.